let's say someone who is listening to this is listening to this because they see identity crisis, going from being an entrepreneur and going back into, working like a 9 to 5. Like, what kind of advice would you give to them who are like hesitant about that, who's scared to do that, who may feel like they failed?
Yeah. I mean, it ties directly to what we just finished talking about. You have to redefine what failure means. And that's what I had to do is my 5 years of running my company and then closing and going back to an employee, that phase of my life made me the employee that I ended up being in 2017, going back to it. So I was an
Mm-hmm.
employee who understood what my partner, what an employer is dealing with. I was an employee who knew what it was like to scrape together revenue and bust your butt with nobody else there able to do it for 5 years. I was an employee who had experience with rejection and running a company that I never had before I went out on my own. So you're not starting over from scratch when you fail. You're adding experience. You're developing who you are as a human. I was a lot more humble. If I do say so
Yeah.
myself, I was a lot more humble in 2017 because I had an appreciation for the firms that I'd worked for before, being able to stay open for 40 years. All of those things, it's not like I started my company in 2012 at 28 years old. And when I closed it and became an employee at 33 years old, it's not like I was going back to who I was at 28. I was a different person. I had new experience. I had grown. I'd matured. I'd learned a lot. And now I was using that as an employee for somebody else's benefit. And then when I became a partner again in 2000, I was a better partner then because of being an employee again. So it wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
those 3 years were a waste either. Those 3 years taught me an appreciation for what employees feel, the way employees approach their work, the way employees, relate to their bosses and things like that. So, and in the 5 years since then, I've grown, and we're just going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to add to who we are. And so, even if you do something and it completely blows up in your face, and you have to move back really like to ground zero, like go back to school and move into a completely different career, relocate to a
Mm-hmm.
different city. I mean, just completely walk away. You're still going to be a better person because of how you've grown and learned
Yeah.
from those experiences. It's your perspective on it. And it's hard
True.
when you're burned out, when you're mentally in that funk, you don't see an end of that tunnel. You don't see a rescue. You don't see any way out of it. But when you look back on it, when that actually happens, and when you decide I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to choose to make positive decisions. And then you look back at it. I mean, anybody who's been through that stuff, you just now joking about it, anybody who's been through that crap is going to say that was some of the best times of my life
Mm-hmm.
because it grew me so much more. Struggling through the CPA exam, it took me 18 months to finish this thing. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. But when I finally achieved that last one, I appreciated it. Like I said, it grew me. It was one of the first tests I've taken in my life that I didn't like at least get a B on the first time. I mean, I was failing 75% is passing score. So I was getting less than 75% on this thing. And I'm like, this is hard. I
Mm-hmm.
actually have to dedicate myself. I have to work at this in order to get it. And so looking back on it, it's like anybody that passed it on the first time and they wouldn't appreciate it. I would have just continued being the arrogant ass that I'd always been at 28 years old without this humbling experience, without realizing what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and how other people can shore up my weaknesses. So, and a buddy of mine helped me with this. He's like, it's that perspective of you're not failing in the sense of everything is blowing up around me and I'm starting from scratch. Scientists fail all the time. And we need to
Yeah.
approach our lives like an experiment, like a lab where I'm testing something. I'm seeing, does this work? No, it didn't. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do I tweak now? Does that work? No, it didn't. Okay, now what do I tweak? Does that work? No, it didn't. That's what
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, again, to come back to that
Trial and error.
that's what it's been like. It's been a lab,
Yeah.
and it's been a lab that it's taken me, 60 experiments to this point to find small little incremental changes to find what people enjoy and where it takes off. But if that comes easy to you, you don't change as a person by things coming easy to you.
You're right.